Welcome to another edition of the Mael Time Podcast. I'm joined today by Michal Lobanov. Michal, how would you introduce yourself?
I'll introduce myself. It's a hard question. um, my name is Michal. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Just like Michal Lobanov, mother of two kids, maybe.
Mother of two kids, and how did you first enter the national spotlight? You're an amazing person. I would argue that 99% of Israel had never heard of your name before October 7th. So, what forced you into the spotlight?
So unfortunately, a lot of people know my name now, and eh, my husband Alex Lobanov was kidnapped. He was a hostage, and he was murdered in August. So I needed to do everything I can to bring him back home. And this is why I needed to go and introduce myself and talk everywhere and on TV, on radio, on the internet. And I just had no choice. I needed people to know our story. I needed people to help me to bring him home. So this is why I became, like on the spotlight.
Can you describe what it was like to find out that he was kidnapped on October 7th?
Yes. Um, at the first time, I didn't believe it. So I was like, no, it's like impossible. I was always thinking that he's going to be back soon, as maybe and he's hiding, or maybe, you know, I didn't think at all that he's kidnapped. So when I realized that he was kidnapped, I just felt like all my life changed. I felt like I lost my husband, but I didn't really lost him because he was alive. He was in Gaza. And I knew that he's doing everything he can to survive. And I can tell on myself that I just was surviving. This is the best description for this. I was a survivor. He was a survivor, and I was a survivor. So my life changed, and I was living to survive and to bring him back home. And also, of course, to survive for my kids.
And you were pregnant at the time that he was kidnapped, correct?
Yeah,
How far along were you?
I was pregnant if already 4 months.
And it's hard enough being pregnant and chasing around another child, let alone running a national campaign to try to bring your husband home from captivity in Gaza. Can you describe what it was like to handle all of those responsibilities at the same time?
I was very confused because I needed to keep myself safe and my baby safe. And at the same time, I wanted to do anything to bring him back home. So just, I realized that the most important thing that I have to do for Alex, because Alex wanted me to do it, it always was in my head that I need to keep this baby safe. I know that if Alex could say something, he would tell me that, Michal, please keep the baby safe. I will survive, but I need you to survive and this baby to survive. And of course, my doctors always told me, Michal, please keep yourself safe. and I try to do anything I can to keep myself safe. And, I try to fight and to bring him back home and to do these all interviews. At the same time, by internet. And I just try to rest and fight. I don't know, it's very hard to explain how you can do these two things at the same time, but I think I succeed.
Well,
So,
Michal, I want to tell you, it's hard to explain. It's hard for anyone to understand. Um, and it makes sense that it's hard to explain because it's truly beyond comprehension. There's plenty of people who struggle to make it through a work day, struggle to go to the coffee shop when they're pregnant. They might have morning sickness. They might just be generally tired. And to all of a sudden become a national figure in addition to having another child is unimaginable. It leads me actually to who put us together here because you're coming to Florida. The Widows of Warriors, a project of Israel Alliance, provides personalized support to the wives of fallen IDF soldiers and other heroes of Israel. Many of these women face the incredible challenge of raising children on their own, and some even experience the heartbreak of having a baby while grieving their loss. The project offers practical help addressing urgent financial needs and finding solutions to the unique challenges these widows face. And as I understand it, you actually spoke to Rabbi Moshe and Yonit and wanted to come speak and tell the story and about what's going on. Can you describe why you felt it was important to travel abroad and try to help everyone else?
yes, I feel like I have right now like a special power that I can tell my story and maybe help to other women that in my position that they like really struggle in their life. And if I can make even one woman feel better and feel more strong and make people, women, feel more powerful, I would do anything to help others in my position because I think I struggle the most hard thing in the world. And I think if I have a little bit of power to help others, I really want to do it. I don't want people, especially women, to feel alone because I know what it feels like. And of course, I have like a crazy story, but in the end, right now, I'm alone with two little boys, and it's very hard. Of course, I surrounded by so many people that want to help me, but in the end of the night, I'm going to sleep alone. So I know there are so many women that feel like in my place, and I really want to help other. And of course, the most important thing, I want to tell everybody in the world about Alex and what person he was, and about my family and about my boys. And this is why it's so important to me to go around the world and tell my story.
Can you describe the best qualities of Alex for those who don't know them?
Yes, he was a very, very, very good friend for everybody. He was with a huge heart. He always wanted to help everybody, from old people to young people to children and people with problems. He was always helping everybody. He was a very, very, I always say, even in Hebrew, I always say that he was a very alive person. He loves life. And he was a very, very happy person.
You mentioned what you went through being a unique experience. There were those who were murdered on October 7th, and others who were murdered in captivity somewhat earlier on. But Alex, unfortunately, was, of the six that were murdered over 330 days after being taken hostage. What was that like transitioning from that stage of doing everything you could to help him return to all of a sudden that hope extinguishing because it was the result that everybody feared?
You know, I always say that I feel like I failed because I know it's not my fault, but I always feel guilty. And I feel like I have one success. I brought him home, but not alive. I'm like a person that, like, I have a privilege that I got him back home and I buried him and he is now in Israel in his land. But the result, it's not the result I wanted. And I feel like I failed and I failed him, even if it's not my fault. But
It's not only is it not your fault, it's 0.0% on your shoulders at all, because the fact that you went around, even, let's put it this way, even if you didn't speak up and you took a route of saying, I'm going to protect the child, I'm going to protect our family, and I'm not going to give a single interview, you still were not responsible for that outcome. And the fact that you did so much, even, I would say even more so, but you didn't even, you went well above and beyond. And I know that you understand that and it's a feeling, but I'm just wanted to make sure that I stated that because it was a situation that was, it's so, I mean, insane would be a moderate way of saying it. Insane doesn't actually summarize the situation. Um, so I, I, I yeah, I don't really have any words beyond that. It certainly was not your fault.
thank you for telling me that. I know it's not my fault, but like maybe it's the nature of people to think that something that is not his fault, but it's his fault. But I know it's not my fault. I know I did anything I can. And a lot of people ask me if you could do something else or more. What did you do? I always say the same thing, the same thing, nothing different. And
I mean, listen, there's literally, you're dealing with a radical Islamic jihadist organization that is receiving money from international aid organizations that doesn't really ever want a negotiated settlement with Israel. It wants to eliminate Israel, and they can say whatever they want because they just lie about everything. And there's so many propaganda arms, and there's so many back channel deals between this government, that government, and what Qatar needs, what Egypt needs. There was nothing that you could have done on that. Again, there's things that perhaps could have been done on a higher level, but I mean, meaning people that are in government. But I don't, you went, you were so amazing and did everything
thank you.
that you could have.
Yes, exactly.
Can you? Yeah.
In the end, Hamas was the only one who killed them. You know, I can blame anyone, the government, the people, the army, because, everyone took place in like some different guilty things, but in the end, they killed them. They killed Alex. So this is their fault.
Exactly. You mentioned you want to help other women who are in a similar situation. And I also just want to be clear that you're arriving to Florida next week, and I encourage everyone to check out the presentation you'll be giving in a number of different areas. There's a reason why I am not intentionally asking every single question that could be asked, because I hope that listeners, certainly in South Florida, will come check out, and maybe we can connect after that and talk about some other issues as well. I would love to do that. You talk about the community of widows, unfortunately, that has grown exponentially since October 7th. Can you talk a little bit about the network and how you're there to support each other?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. If you can
Can
say
you,
again.
no, can you describe a little bit of the audience for the audience about the community of widows and people that are in similar situations? Are there strong friendships that have been developed in the community aspect of it?
Yes, of course. Every woman has her special story, and every woman just has her um like I always say everyone has his own story, and there are no more difficult stories or more crazy stories or more unique stories. Every woman has her like special story. And um I can say that we are going through the same pain. This is how I can call it, like the same pain, the same feelings that only I can tell, like widows can understand that. But we are struggling so much pain and so much things that we need to do by ourselves that no one can understand us. And there are,
Can you describe a few of those things?
of course, um, there are so many widows that has kids and they don't have any help. Maybe some of them have like the family help. Some of them are alone, like totally alone, and you need to struggle to raise them and to like this. I always say that the hard times that I really miss Alex, and he's been with me. It's the small things that, like, making shower to the boys and take them to sleep and read them a book and play with the ball, with the football outside, and the weekends that he's not there. And I know that all the widows struggle the same feelings. The weekends, the nights that you're going to sleep alone and you need like a shoulder to cry on and you don't have it. And the kids that are like always asking about their father, and it's so hard to explain what happened. And I think it's so many things that only widows can understand. And I'm going to tell my story in my point of view, and how I make all these struggles to be a little bit better, a little bit happier, and a little bit stronger. This is why I really want to help other women maybe to realize that you can make these things to be a little bit easier.
I think that your courage and bravery and care for others is really off the charts. And you talked about how Alex was so helping, and I can see how you guys ended up together because it seems that you both have that quality. And my feedback on having to be a widow to understand some of these things, as a father of four myself, I can understand some of what you said from the perspective that I know what it's like when a kid looks in my eyes and wants to show me something and wants to show me how proud I should be of them, and sneak a candy after dinner or get an extra push on the swing. And oftentimes I find myself thinking about people like Alex in that case when that happens, because it's really difficult to understand and to comprehend the life altering circumstances for so many families. And I know that people across the world, Miami, really do care and want to hear and want to support because it's uh, Jewish people, it's one body, one soul, and we really do feel that pain. We obviously can't feel it to the same extent, and anyone who says that they do, every circumstance is different, and it's not true. But conceptually, it's really your story is moving, and people really do care and really do think about you guys all the time. And I know people say that, but it's true. It's really true. A lot of times people say things and it's to make you feel better. This is a fact. People really do think about you guys all the time, and it's important that there are places um, like the project you're working on with the Rothschilds to make sure that the support can get channeled there because it's important that there's a forum like the Widows of Warriors that the money goes directly to people like yourself and others who need the assistance, and you can really see that, really see that impact and see that impact in a meaningful way. Michal, you are awesome. I really appreciate you giving me this time. And I hope we can, see you in South Florida, and I hope we can touch base again here on the podcast after, so as to not reveal any of the more of the stories before you come here. But what before I let you go, what's your relationship like with the families of five other people who were murdered in the tunnel?
We're like a family. We didn't choose to be a family, but now we're one big family. This is the only people, Carmel, Eden, Hirsch, Almog, and Ori. Their families, they're the only people who can really understand me, who can really, really, really support me. And the only people who knows what we're went through and now going through. And every time, everywhere I go, I always, always remind the five others. And our group, we have a name, a beautiful name for our group. We call them the six beautiful angels. And they are six beautiful angels. They are six heroes, and there always will be. And this is, of course, what I'm going to talk about also, and to tell our story, also the five others, and tell how we connected together and how we are like a big family right now. And it's going to be very, very interesting. And it's very important to me to say that Alex, he didn't get the chance to meet his youngest boy, Kai. And this is going to be a very interesting story how I gave birth to Kai without Alex. And thank you for supporting me. And I'm very excited to come to Florida.
South Florida is excited to have you. I hope everyone can check it out. I will post the details below the episode so that everyone can see the various events, can hear your story, and afterwards, I really do want to connect because I think it's an important
We
story for other
will,
people to
don't
hear
worry,
as
we
well.
will.
Uh, Amazing. Michal, have an amazing rest of your night and safe travels here to America. We are eagerly awaiting your arrival.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.